Today, I am going to dispel some common myths and misconceptions about the adult entertainment industry. Now, the main reason for a lot of these myths and misconceptions is that the adult industry is a very insular industry. We don't really let outsiders in at all. You're either in or you're out. So the only real way to experience and understand how the industry runs and operates is to be in it. Myth number one. Women are coerced into the porn industry. I'm talking very specifically about the professional porn industry. All of the women that work for those big companies that you probably fap to on Pornhub, all of them got into the industry of their own free will. The agents that I know, they don't do any recruiting. They don't have to. Their inbox is inundated with applications from women who are trying to get into the industry. They don't have to coerce anybody to do it. They're just coming freely. Now, is there some sexual exploitation material out there on the internet? 100% there is. But this idea that the professional porn industry is all made up of women that were coerced into it is just not true. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are these porn managers being inundated with applications? My opinion is that mainstream society has made porn way more socially acceptable. You look at movies, you look at music videos, you look at things like Instagram, and all it is these days is women showing off their body. Music videos today would have been considered pornographic in like the 80s, 90s. So when society trends in that direction, it makes for a woman the choice of, oh, okay, I could flash my ass on Instagram and get attention, or I could do it on a porn set and make money out of it. That decision, the barrier to making that decision is significantly reduced for a lot of women. Myth number two. All the dudes must have a ginormous wang. This ain't true either. There are a lot of male porn stars who've had a very lengthy career with a not so lengthy package. Do the dudes who have really enormous wangs typically get more work or get paid more? Absolutely. They tend to be bigger stars, they tend to have a lot more notoriety, etc., etc. In fact, when I first got into the porn industry, I was actually below average in terms of penis size. But through the techniques that I learned, I was able to increase the length and the girth of my penis. And then when I started picking up more and more and more work, I was able to sustain a long enough career due to the fact that I was more, say, visually pleasing on camera for both the viewer and for the people casting me. And if you want to learn some of those secrets, then you can check out the link to my How I Grew My Penis book down in the description below. Myth number three, it's one big party. Now, I will admit that working on a porn set is a lot of fun, but it isn't a big party. There is a ton of paperwork. It's typically a very drawn out day. There's lots of camera and lighting changes going on. There's scripts to read. There's like consent forms to fill out. There's tax forms to fill out. And primarily the reason for that, especially things like consent checklists and stuff, all this stuff is so that people like the producers and directors and the companies hiring them just don't want to get their asses sued. So that's why there's a ton of paperwork going on. And this ties into myth number four, that there's a lot of drugs. Like I said before, it's not a party, right? There's no alcohol on set. Everyone has to be sober to consent to work. There's no drugs on set. Okay, in California, sometimes the people will step outside and smoke a joint here and there, or they'll smoke a joint before they get to set. The point is that on set itself, people aren't snorting coke, the dudes especially, because the dick wouldn't work. And in fact, there's actually quite a lot of sober people in the porn industry. There's quite a lot of directors and actors who are part of AA. This sort of ties into myth number five, that all the women in the industry are raging nymphomaniacs, and that is definitely not the case. I would say about a third of the women in the industry are genuine nymphomaniacs, and they're amazing to work with. It's a great day. But the rest are either more about the paycheck, or they're more about the fame and the attention. Myth number six is that it's easy money, or it's easy big money. And this just ain't the case. I mean, like any other industry, it's very much a case of winner takes all, especially when it comes to OnlyFans. And that's kind of the thing that has pushed this narrative that pornography is quick money and it's easy money, and in some cases it's big money. So OnlyFans actually released some of their income data recently. The average OnlyFans creator only makes $100 a month. Also, consider this, there are 3.2 million content producing creators on OnlyFans, 70% of which are women. The top 20% of those make $500 a month. The top 1% of those make $5,000 a month. And the top 0.1% make $15,000 a month. So a lot of these really extravagant income numbers you might have heard from some of the bigger models on OnlyFans, oh, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, or they're making millions of dollars a month, or whatever. That is the 0.000 percentages of creators. Going back to, shall we say, mainstream professional pornography as well for a second, the actors and the directors actually used to make way more money before Pornhub came onto the scene. When Pornhub came onto the scene, everyone's incomes just tanked. They were making way more when it was DVDs and VHSs and stuff, because it was more exclusive, it was more limited, and it was harder to get access to, so they could charge more. So it's definitely not big money. The only way that people make a decent income in pornography is by shooting all the time, so it's just like any other full-time job. Or, almost exclusively, with the women, if they get big enough and popular enough, their audience grows enough, well then they can massively monetize an OnlyFans account. Now, as for the assumption that it's easy money, on the girl side, you could make the argument it's pretty easy money. You do just have to kind of lay on your back or bend over every now and then. So I'm not going to really deny that it's super easy for the women's side of things. For the dudes side of things, though, it is a job that 99.9% of men could not do at all. You have to get your dick hard in front of like a room full of complete strangers who have cameras pointed at you, lights pointed at you, and their paychecks depend upon your ability to get an erection. I would not classify that as easy. If you want to see a bit more of the insights from people within the industry themselves, then check out this interview I did over here with the lovely Lola Faye.